Ladies and gents, boys and girls, Tuesday, March the 28th, 2023. Hope you're all doing well. Chris Phillips here, your host of the Daily Crow of the Spurs Up Show. Appreciate you all tuning in here on this Tuesday. I see Justin Langford, John Edwards, Stephen Boyle Jr., Travie, C. Youngblood, Ethan, my guy Gad. Appreciate you coming out last night, my friend. Had a really good time at Carolina Ale House on Woodruff Road. Todd Smith, what's going on? Madison Duncan, what's up? Justin Langford, appreciate y'all. Also, those in the Big Cock Club Discord. Head over to the TDC Questions channel, the TDC Questions channel. Be sure your questions are answered there. Again, we are rocking, we are rolling, we are live here on this Tuesday. And guys, of course, as always, TDC brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Go download the Prize Picks app, go to prizepicks.com. And when you do, use the promo code TSUS to receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Guys, you can play anything and everything. College sports, pro sports, anything and everything you can think of. They've got it over at Prize Picks. Hey, opening day is on Thursday. I know we're really excited for that, so you can play MLB. Of course, we got March Madness still going on. Golf as well, right? Masters Week upcoming. Be sure you get your picks in. So many fans and listeners of the Daily Crow and of the Spurs Up Show have made tons of money with our friends at Prize Picks, and you should as well. So again, that's our friends at Prize Picks. Go download the Prize Picks app, go to prizepicks.com, and when you do, use that promo code TSUS to receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Be sure to check them out and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. Austin Greer says the show 23 is fire. Austin, I'm not a huge gamer. The only reason I'd get games is to like play with my buddies, right? Like I got PGA Tour 2K23, literally just because I had a buddy that has it, and I was like, let's play like a little bit here and there. But if I'm not going to play MLB The Show, like I'm not just going to sit there and play myself. Like the only thing I might play Road to the Show. I'm not, again, a huge gamer, but there's two game modes I could play for hours and hours on end. It's Road to the Show and Road to Glory. I could play those two things for hours on end. The rest of it, it's I don't know. I'm not a huge gamer. I feel like when I'm gaming, I'm killing time where I should be doing something else that's more productive. That's just how my brain tends to work. Either way, guys, let me start by saying thank you to all of those who came out last night to Carolina Ale House on Woodruff Road. Had a great crowd, fantastic time watching the Gamecocks get the big W over Maryland. And now South Carolina will take on Iowa in the Final Four Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And yes, you guessed it. In case you missed it on social media, we will be back at Carolina Ale House on Woodruff Road. Really looking forward to it. Going to be really fun. Again, a 9 o'clock tip-off. I'll probably get out there about 8 o'clock or so. Of course, baseball will also be going on simultaneously. So you can be rest assured, yours truly, we're going to have the laptop pulled up. I'll have the game going, the baseball game through, and then we'll be watching South Carolina and Iowa on the TVs at Carolina Ale House. But again, really exciting stuff, guys. If you need a place to watch the game, Carolina Ale House in Woodruff Road in Greenville, South Carolina, that is the place to be. Going to be a lot of fun for sure. And looking forward to South Carolina trying to punch their ticket to the national championship, which will be set on Sunday, I believe like 7 o'clock. I'm not exactly sure the time, but for that as well, we'll be right back out at Carolina Ale House on Woodruff Road in Greenville, South Carolina. Really looking forward to it. To all the upstate Gamecocks who cannot make it to Dallas, and all the Gamecocks in general, but especially if you're in the upstate, you need a spot to watch the game with the Gamecocks, come on out to Carolina Ale House on Woodruff Road. Well, it's also a very busy week in the upstate because the spring tour stops downtown Greenville Thursday, which again will effectively serve as a watch party for the baseball game as the Gamecocks begin their series against Mississippi State. That game will start at 7 o'clock, and it will be aired on the big channel, SEC Network, so we will get to watch that game together. Really looking forward to getting out there on Thursday night and hanging out with you guys, and we'll be selling merch, of course, the tour shirts, which, by the way, thank y'all so much for the love and support in regards to the Beamer Ball to the Moon 2023 tour t-shirts. The reception on those has been incredible. It's been extremely positive. You guys have been buying up the merchandise. I actually just put in another order today. We'll also have Beamer Ball towels and koozies for sale, koozies to give away. We'll have things to give away for free. So, yeah, really, really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Looking forward to it. We are going to be all over the upstate the next week, week and a half or so. Austin Greer, it's good for mental health to unplug from the world. Video games is that to me and many others. No, Austin, I agree with you 110%. No, I think you're absolutely right. Everybody needs their way to detach, and for some people, it is video games. I'm not anti Austin. I'm far from anti video games. I love playing video games. Like I grew up playing video games, right? Like I was playing Super Nintendo, Donkey Kong. Like I was, I love video games. I'm just at this point in my life, like I'm not really a huge gamer. I more so Austin utilize video games for content, which is why we do the NCAA football stuff. That's literally why, excuse me, that's literally why I bought a PlayStation 5. That's why I bought a PlayStation 5, was to be ready, excuse me, guys, to be ready when the new NCAA football drops eventually. I don't know when it's going to drop, but eventually when it does, I will have the console. Anyways, let's see. Let's see here. Let's get into your questions. I see Austin Ward, Xavier, Will Hall. What's going on, guys? Appreciate y'all. Travis, is it just me or we've never heard of Sam Simpson? He just hasn't pitched a lot, and he was hurt last year, Travis. I think that's why you probably haven't heard of him. He hasn't pitched because he was injured a year ago. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, it is also game day, of course, for the Yardcocks. Gamecocks taking on the Citadel. It's a big day in college baseball, by the way. Texas A&M. That's a great game tonight. Florida State were supposed to play. They were supposed to play, but that one I think got postponed due to bad weather. So some great games tonight, though, and of course, Gamecocks are down there at the Joe. So all the Low Country Gamecocks, I've already seen a couple of people saying they're going to the game. Are you going to the game? Joe Riley Ballpark in Charleston, South Carolina, 7 o'clock first pitch. ESPN Plus for those who cannot make it. Anyways, guys, in the meantime, hey, by the way, Shane Beamer is speaking to the media today to give updates on spring practice, what have you. We will have that right here. So you don't need to go anywhere. We'll have that right here. It actually says 12:27 on YouTube is when he will speak. So do not go anywhere. We will air that right here for you guys. We'll air that right here for you guys. I'm very intrigued to hear what Shane Beamer's got to say in regards to spring practice and everything going on, and obviously hope that things are going well. I would assume they are going well. Let's see, guys, really excited for the conversation we're going to have on the podcast on Thursday. I saw the clip with Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast. He does a great job, by the way. SEC Mike on Twitter, as you guys probably know him better. He had a conversation, though, with Braden Gall, and I think the clip got a lot of attention because he said that he said that Tennessee was going to whoop South Carolina's ass. He also mentioned that he said that the Gamecocks were going to beat Florida. But, he said what he said. He said what he said. Anyways, though, Braden Gall does a great job. He's the owner of 440 Sports. He's a host on ESPN Radio, works with Athlon Sports, does a great job, like I said. So we're going to have him on the podcast on Thursday to talk Gamecocks, to talk SEC football, to maybe clarify some of his comments that he made in regards to South Carolina, Tennessee, if you will. So going to be a lot of fun. Again, it's never a bad time of year to talk SEC football and, of course, talk Gamecocks football, and looking forward to it. Yeah, by the way, Madison, Dawn gave me a small scare when Maryland got the lead. However, the Lady Gamecocks focused to grab the Final Four ticket. Very proud. Great day to be Gamecock. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised at all, man. I have learned not to worry when it comes to Dawn Staley's team. I've learned not to worry. Now, I'll tell you this. I'm so excited for the game on Friday to see Caitlin Clark and just how South Carolina is able to, combat her, if you will, or slow her down, how they're able to slow her down. I would expect the Gamecocks to win. You're 11.5-point favorites. They've got one great player. We've got a whole team full of great players. So I'm not too concerned about it, to be honest with you. I at this point, guys, it's really, truly South Carolina's trophy to lose. It is. It is. And, I don't see any reason unless South Carolina beats themselves, which I don't think is going to happen. I think the Gamecocks have got a clear path to the national championship. So, Hunter Kelly, what's up, my friend? How are you? Travis says, who's Blake Franks? Blake Franks is an offensive line target, my guy. Offensive line target. Yep. Offensive line target. So, I don't know what it is lately, guys, but I have just, I think what happened is like as the weather warms up, I mean, I love baseball. Obviously, I'm locked in on baseball. But as the weather warms up, I start to get the football itch, believe it or not. I start to get the football itch. I really, really do. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why necessarily it is, but I just do. I just do. And I was actually looking at SEC football helmet schedules for the 2023 season. And yeah, just the schedules as a whole, man. I don't know. I just, as we get closer to like the spring game too, I think there's just nothing that moves the needle in regards to talking about it like SEC football as a whole. You know what I mean? It's unrivaled. It's truly unrivaled. Steven says they let Maryland press and got them in a foul trouble and then brought the pain. Yeah, it was a lot of fun watching it at Ale House. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We had a great crowd for it. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I am very excited, as I mentioned, to watch Caitlin Clark, to see that matchup, because you hear so much about her. You just hear so much about her and how good she is and all that. So I'm excited to see what they do, how they'll slow her down. But again, I got really no concerns, man. To be honest with you, I got no concerns at all. So LSU student accused of breaking into Tiger Stadium and stealing $1,500 worth of beer. And that's at LSU, Tiger Stadium, if you're not familiar. How about that? $1,500 worth of beer. All right. What a crime, if you will. Jesse Jacobs also here in Greenville, North Carolina. A little banter with my ECU baseball buddies. How we have not jumped them in the official rankings is wild. Yeah, but I think they're high on East Carolina. I don't allow myself to get too antsy, too worked up over the rankings, just because, you keep winning, takes care of itself. You keep winning, it takes care of itself. By the way, I want to say thank you to Mark Ryan for stopping by last night. That was very unexpected and very funny. Mark Ryan, I didn't realize the radio station is right there down the road from Carolina Ale House on Woodruff Road. So Mark stopped by last night, and I saw him. I was like, dude, we got to get a picture, because as expected, the picture with the picture drew quite the reaction on social media. So, but it was a great time. That was actually the first time, guys, last night. That was the first time I've ever met Mark in person. And he's a great dude, man. Need I say less? Great dude. Yeah, highly suggest if you guys ever get an opportunity to go out into their events or anything like that, definitely do so. Definitely do so. I think you'll find, I think it's really, honestly, I think it's important for people to do that. I think it's important for people to do that because, it gives you that human element, right? Too often, I think people, they'll consume my content, they'll consume other people's content, but they will, you create this persona of what this person is and who this person is in your head, and you lose sight of the human aspect of things. So it's great to meet people in person and kind of get that, feel them out, if you will, and just realize these people are real human beings, right? Let's see. Coleman Hall, hopefully this beefed up O-line allows for an elite offense that is complete in both the running and the passing game. Coleman, I agree. It's funny, man. Every time I see something like this, I feel like it re-triggers my fight or flight. But this morning, Pro Football Focus, obviously we're really big on Pro Football Focus with our friend Anthony Treese, who joined us over the football season. Well, Pro Football Focus College, Chad Maxwick, who's with them, college football analyst for them. Top 10 offensive coordinators heading in the 2023 season. Chad Maxwick dropped his list this morning. I'll go 10-1. You ready? Number 10, Alabama OC Tommy Rees. Number 9 from Florida State, Alex Atkins. Number 8 from Wake Forest, Warren Ruggiero. I think that's how you say his last name. Number 7 from Baylor, Jeff Grimes. Number 6 from Oklahoma, Jeff Lebby. Number 5 from LSU, Mike Denbrock. Number 4 from Wisconsin, Phil Longo. Number 3 from Utah, Andy Ludwig. Number 2 from Washington, Ryan Grubb. And number one from Clem Sucks, Garrett Riley. Surprise, surprise, there is no Dowell Loggins on that list. And every time I see a list like that, it's like it re-triggers my fight or flight. It really does. It's like it re-triggers my fight or flight when I see a list like that. Let Loggins cook, but I saw that list this morning, and you know, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit envious. I'll be totally honest with you. Coleman says King Dowell doesn't need a great O-line to score a bunch of points. Ruination, what's up, my friend? What's going on? Guys, by the way, quick reminder, Shane Beamer taking the podium in about 10 minutes or so. About 10 minutes or so, Shane Beamer will speak to the media. Looking forward to it. Updating Gamecock fans, updating us all on spring practice. Coleman Hall, at least Dowell will probably stay with us until the Arkansas job opens up. Yeah, that's a great question, right? What does he do if and when that job opens up in Fayetteville? And I think he'd be gone. I think he'd take it. I mean, he's an Arkansas alum. I wouldn't even blame him if he did that. Anyways, we got a long way to go. There'll be plenty of time to complain about the OC stuff this football season. Jeff Gullers, do you think Riley stays in Clem Sucks 2 years more? I have no idea. Yeah, I have no clue. Does Garrett Riley want to be a head coach? I'm sure he does. But, Jeff, I would say this, that wouldn't have been a deterrent for me. Like, if the Gamecocks could have gotten him or wanted to get him, I should say, that wouldn't have been a deterrent for me because I'd rather have an elite coach for 2 years than have an average one for 5. Like, I don't care. Like, it's a carousel anyways. You know, I posted the crazy stat this morning. And in case you guys didn't see it, get this. LSU and Vanderbilt, what do they have in common? LSU and Vanderbilt are the only 2 schools in the SEC who return both their quarterback and their offensive coordinator from last year. So it really just goes to show you, like, the carousel never stops. Like, things never stop changing when it comes to SEC football because you're always trying to improve. You're always trying to get better. You know, so, I mean, what difference does it make if he's there 2 years, if he's there 3, or if he's there 10? Like, I don't give a damn. I just want the best available option in the present moment. That's all I want. You know? Let's see here. Justin Moore, what's going on, man? Looking forward to the LSU series at home. We need to do a big tailgate in lot 1 for the series. I know CB90 will be down. Hate it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but I understand since it's Easter, that Sunday. Justin Moore, and I can assure you, CB90 and I will not be collabing on any tailgates anytime soon. I'll just leave it at that. No disdain, no distaste, no slight or anything like that. Everything's good on my end. I'm just rest assured. I don't think a collaboration on tailgate is going to be happening anytime soon, my guy. But you never know. We might do something for the Saturday game. I have no idea. I'll let you know. More than likely, though, I'll probably be doing live stream watch-alongs for those games. I'll be totally honest with you. That's probably what will be taking place. But, no, I would not, Justin, just to be completely transparent and be blunt, I would not expect to see TSUS and probably any of the other Gamecock entities collabing on a tailgate anytime soon. Wouldn't hold your breath. Would not hold your breath. But, yeah, Justin, I'll let you guys know I may come to the yard for that series. I think it'd be a great one, obviously, especially we keep winning. We take care of business this weekend. I mean, I think getting down there for 1 or maybe 2 games would be awesome. But it's just really going to depend, man. It's really going to depend. I'll let you guys know what the plan is. Again, I think live stream watch-alongs would do fantastic. But you never know. I mean, I definitely want to get to Founders Park a couple of times this season. So let's see. Coleman Hall, the carousel never stops, but thankfully our offense was so putrid last year that it's only up from here. Yeah, outside of the last 2 games, my friend, you are right. Jeremy Wardell, Beamer wasn't the best option by the expert predictions for head coach, and we got him, and he's turned out pretty good. I hear you. Yeah, no, Jeremy, for sure. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to reopen the scab that is the OC stuff and all of the all the feelings around that, if you will, because it's funny. I feel like we could spend the entire preseason talking about it, but it was highly criticized. And, it's funny. I had somebody this morning tell me that, well, we all know how you felt when Dow was hired. And I would just say this, guys. I mean, he's our guy. I believe in Beamer, thus I believe in Dowell Loggins. But all of my concerns around Dowell Loggins when he was first hired, they were justified then, and they're still justified today. His lack of experience, his resume, like those things are all still there. Those things didn't go away. The only thing that's going to make those things fade into the background is producing on the field for us. That's it. That's it. So, because that's at the end of the day, obviously, what matters. But the concerns are still there for sure. I mean, it's a huge storyline going in the season, no doubt. It's a huge storyline going in the season. But listen, they've said all the right things. Recruiting's been fantastic. So, hey, everything's great at this point. Now it's all about just producing on the field and, taking the players you've got. And you should have a good offense this year. There's just no excuse. There's no excuse not to have a good offense this year, no doubt. Jeff Gullidge, I feel that USC felt he would have been a one and done as an OC and passed on him. Did they pass on Garrett Riley? I have no idea. Todd Smith, while we're on the Clem Sucks football, South Carolina football subject, tickets are ridiculous already. I bet they are. I bet they are. I bet they are, my guy. I bet they are. Brian Dean says, never been a Founders. My last baseball game was at the Sarge. You definitely need to go, my friend. Brian, you definitely need to go. You absolutely need to go to Founders Park. Justin Warren, I hope the series is 2-0 or 1-1 going into Saturday to make it worth it. To make it worth it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great series, Justin. I do. I think it'll be a great series. Here we go. Jacob E. with the brutal honesty. Loggins was a terrible hire from the start, but we're all hoping it works out. Jacob E. with the brutal honesty here. Brandon Wagner says, I hope Dowell leaves after 2 years to become Arkansas's head coach. It means he actually did well. I mean, that's, it is a positive. It is a positive when you're in a position where, your coaches are being courted, because it means you have great coaches, right? It means you have great coaches. So, yeah, I mean, I'd have no problem with that. So, I'd have no problem with that. Let's see. Austin Greer, for what it's worth, PFF college is a joke. Why do you say that, Austin? Seems kind of harsh. Brian Dean, our offense only goes as far as our Achilles heel, our offensive line. Yeah, for sure. Guys, again, Yardcocks taking on the Citadel tonight. I've locked it in 9-5. I think the Gamecocks will get the job done. I don't think the Citadel is very good this year. Hunter Kelly, talking about our new quarterback coach from the Panthers. Don't know much about him. Hunter, I don't know much about him either. I don't know really anything about the guy. I don't even remember his name. I'd have to go back to the social media to tell you. Let's see here. His name is Sean Ryan. So I don't know anything about the guy other than he's been with the NFL. And it's so funny, though. Somebody commented because his experience comes from the Panthers, Giants, Texans, Lions, whatever. And people were scoffing at his NFL experience, and those teams all suck. And I'm like, dude, Dowell Loggins has a very similar resume. So I do think it's interesting, though, how Beamer's shown a real willingness to, load up on NFL guys. He's all about it. He likes bringing guys with NFL experience into the program. So kind of just kind of interesting. Austin Greer, why is Becker not pitching midweeks? Well, I think Austin, just because he threw on Saturday. I think just because he threw on Saturday, maybe they just want to give some other guys opportunities at this point. So, you know what I mean? So I think that's probably why. They've got a lot of different options, and they like throwing Becker on the weekend. So, I mean, I would assume that's probably why. So, Jesse Jacobs, Justin Stepp staying on board to really show people how good of a job Shane Beamer's doing here right now. Yeah, for sure. He's bought in. Yeah, Justin Stepp's bought in, no doubt. He's bought in, no doubt. Let's see. Jeremy Wardell, it's just hard for me to call Beamer an idiot at this point if he thinks Loggins the man. I trust him. I don't think, Jeremy, anybody's calling Beamer an idiot. I don't think anybody's calling him an idiot. I mean, you do have to trust Beamer and what he's done at this point. He deserves the benefit of the doubt. But, I'll just say that it's a huge storyline going in the season. And what I said 2 months ago stands today. No matter what Slapdicks thought of it then, it still stands today that the hiring of Garrett Riley at Clem Sucks puts more pressure on Dowell Loggins to have success. It does. I don't give a damn what you say. It just does, dude. Because if Garrett Riley and Clem sucks, if their offense balls out and South Carolina, even just the first half of the season, they sputter, people are going to look at it and say, well, damn, looks like we didn't outsmart the system. We didn't outsmart the talking heads that said that Garrett Riley was one of the best offensive minds in college football because he's having a lot of success. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that is a storyline. There's no question. There's absolutely no question that's a storyline, and I think you're foolish if you think that that doesn't put more pressure on Dowell Loggins to have success. But hey, there's pressure either way. There's pressure either way. So there's pressure either way. Let's see. Here we go. Coleman Hall, who always keeps it real. I appreciate it. Dowell was a D- hire. Dowell was a terrible NFL OC with 4 teams over almost a decade. Dowell has no college OC experience, much less success as one. Shane stated his reasons for the hiring were personal phone calls and recommendations. I personally think Dowell was recommended to Shane by Sylvester Croom as they were co-workers with the Titans, and Shane holds a lot of respect and admiration for Croom. Maybe so. Maybe so. Guys, we're waiting on Shane Beamer, who is speaking to the media any minute now. We've got the YouTube pulled up. I will share it here in just a second. Here we go. Okay, let's go ahead and start sharing the screen. Boom. You don't need to go anywhere because we have got it here live for you all. We've got it here live for you. Hunter Kelly, I believe Nicholas Harbor will be our guy this year. I think he'll definitely play. No doubt. I mean, Jeremy, I think you keep it real as well, my friend. I think you do. And now, listen, I think everybody that tunes into TVC keeps it real. I was just saying that Coleman is very brutally honest, which I respect. I think it's fun. It drives banter. It drives conversation. Yeah, and Jeremy, if Clem sucks his offense, if they suck, oh yeah, the heat will be on Dabo, no doubt. So there's pressure everywhere, man. There's pressure everywhere, right? There's pressure all over the place. Welcome to college football. All right, let's go ahead and get this pulled up, guys. I'm going to take myself off the screen. We're going to tune in, listen to what Shane Beamer has to say here on this Tuesday. As Beamer updates us on spring practice. Guys, again, I'm going to take myself off the screen, and we will chat after Shane Beamer's media availability. Enjoy.
Appreciate your help.
That's what I do.
No data? Gene, you're going to have to lead it off.
Saturday, Dallas. How's it going?
Good, how you?
I'm out of Dallas.
I'm not done now.
Let's wait just one more minute. A little Phil's here, so. Whittle come?
He's not, no.
He's not? Okay. Sometimes he's I know he straggles in the last minute. Squeeze him out. So thanks. Go ahead and get started. Good. All right. Appreciate everybody coming out. Coach Beamer here to talk about what's going on in Gamecock football these days.
Yep, appreciate it. Thanks for the diehards being out here today. Steve told me that some people are trying to make their way back from Greenville as if it's a trek across the country. So appreciate you guys being here, but in all seriousness, congratulations. What is that? Do you hear that? Appreciate you guys being here, but in all seriousness, congratulations. What is that? Do you hear that? Oh, okay. Well, keep going. Congratulations to Coach Staley and her team last night on the awesome win, and excited about the weekend coming up in Dallas. What a great opportunity and what a testament to their program and the consistency year in, year out. Got so much respect for them. They get every single team's best shot week in, week out. And to go through the season to this point undefeated is awesome. Just saw some of the players downstairs in the training room. Nobody's injured, so no worries. They were down there with the chiropractor as well, but pretty amazing turnaround that they're playing last night and headed for Dallas today. But know they're excited and wish them luck and be pulling hard for them Awesome weekend in Columbia last weekend for us. We had our high school coaches clinic and had a great group of coaches, high school coaches that were here visiting. Really enjoyed getting to visit with them. Really enjoyed hearing from our speakers, Arthur Smith of the Falcons, longtime NFL coach Joe DeCamillis, and then Sylvester Kroom, Frank Beamer, and David Cutcliffe on our Legends Roundtable Saturday morning was really, really awesome. So appreciate those guys being here and appreciate all of our speakers as well. It was a fun weekend and great fellowship. Back on the practice field today, just finished practice 7. Good work. Got some guys injury-wise, nothing major long-term. Just got some bumps and bruises, some hamstrings, things like that. Primarily in the defensive back group. Trying to get those guys healthy. It's good to see Pup Howard back out there practicing today. He's been out for a couple weeks with a hamstring, so it's good to see him be back out there running around. And got a lot to get better at, but really like this group and the way they're working. And practice 8 coming up on Thursday, and then our first scrimmage of the spring will be on Saturday morning, along with our ladies clinic, our sold-out ladies clinic. So excited about spending Saturday afternoon with them as well. So with that, any questions you guys have? David's not here, so what are we going to do? Is it Gene or is it Colin? They're fighting over it right now. Go ahead, Gene.
Shane, at this point, how would you assess the strengths and weaknesses or your concerns about your run game and your run defense?
It's hard to say. I mean, I shouldn't say hard to say. It's through 7 practices, so there's bits and pieces of information that we've been able to glean. But I believe we'll be able to run the ball. I like we don't have enough running backs. We got to continue to increase the depth, so that's an area of concern. But the group, the 3 guys that are working as our top 3 right now, Mario and Juju and DeCarrion, I've really been impressed with and their skill set, like our offensive line and the way that they've been able to do things. We've got athletic quarterbacks as well. So, I've been pleased with the running game. We've just got to continue to hone in, Gene, on what schemes we're going to run, what we're best at, along with, who are the guys that we're going to be able to count on. And then run defense as well. A lot of times in spring practice, there's a big play on the offense. It's because the defense misfit a gap, or if there's a big play on the defense, the offense is, missed a block or stepped the wrong way or whatever. But, I've seen signs of us really being able to do a good job. Our defensive backs tackling. We had some runs on Saturday. We didn't scrimmage, but we had some live, 11-on-11 tackling periods and played it like a game. And in those, situations, we had some runs that popped out of there that safeties and corners were able to come up and make tackles. That was good to see. And, we're working a lot of guys in there at the defensive line and linebacker position to try and figure out who we can count on. So to answer your question, strengths, I think we're in a good place as far as installation and showing signs of being able to run the ball and stop the run better than what we did last year. Areas of concern would be just continue to develop the depth on both sides of the ball to figure out, who we're going to be able to count on and the schemes that we'll be able to use to be efficient.
Keep the tradition alive and say thanks for doing this. But you talked a couple weeks ago about throwing a lot at these guys offensively from an install perspective. How has that gone through the first 7 practices, and is this offense probably where you'd expect it to be through the first 2.5 weeks of spring ball?
Yeah, it is. Dow and I met and talked about that yesterday, just kind of where we are and what we need to do going forward and how to continue to get better. We have, thrown a lot at them, so to speak, but a lot of it is not. A lot of the, passing game concepts are things they know from last year. If you're new here, you're Trey Knox or Josh Simon or Eddie Lewis, you don't know it. It's new for you. But, I think just the multiplicity in formations and motions and things like that, we have thrown a lot out of them, a lot at them. Offensively, our players need to do a great job of being able to learn conceptually and not just I am the Z receiver on this play and I run a 12-yard curl route, understanding what every receiver is doing on the play, so you can therefore do more things and be dependable and able to use in different ways. So we've thrown a lot at them, but it's been good teaching, good learning, and I like where we are right now. Certainly that first offense, the older guys, the returning starters, they're humming along pretty good right now. The challenge for us is the depth behind them, kind of to answer Gene's question, just developing that depth behind them, and the other receivers and tight ends and running backs and offensive linemen and quarterbacks, they need to come along. They're a little bit farther behind, obviously, and there's a lot of freshmen that are in that group as well, but they're continuing to get better and eager to see how they continue to improve this week going into the scrimmage on Saturday.
That first offense, are y'all rolling with the same group of 5 up front, or are you mixing and matching in a lot like y'all are, like you said you were doing on the defensive?
We're mixing and matching and rolling guys in there, but primarily, we got Jalen, Nick / Ja'Kai, Vershawn, Trey Jones, Wanamaker. I think those 6. Been pretty regular. Marquis Anderson's a true freshman that, certainly has really opened up a lot of eyes and getting some work. But by no means, we talked about it in the team meeting this morning. There's no jobs that are settled. There's no jobs that we know this is going to be the starting 5 or the starting anything. We're competing, and we're not even halfway through spring practice. And eager to see, do those guys that are working with those top groups, not just at offensive line, but any position, do they continue to get better and separate themselves from everybody else? Or do they get complacent because we're halfway through spring practice and all of a sudden get beat out? That's what I'm eager to see. But we feel pretty good about those guys on the offensive line and also some young guys. Ryan Brubaker, Kason Henry's been hurt, but eager to get him back out there coming off surgery. And Brubaker, Grayson Maines. There's a lot of young guys that we're excited to continue to get a lot of work, and that's the one thing that we want to do here going forward is, some of these guys that maybe haven't gotten as much work these first 6 practices, really throw them in there and get them a lot of opportunities here the last half of spring practice and see what they can do.
Shane, with the versatility that Gargiulo brings to the offensive line, being able to play practically any position, is it about putting him in the position that you feel like is best for him, or do you feel like it's truly, whatever's best for the team and kind of just putting him there based on, the strengths of the other guys around him?
Yeah, I think with him, it's he's everything you want in a offensive lineman. He's tough, he's nasty, and I mean that in a good way. He's dependable, he's smart. He plays the game that we want the game to be played like on our football team and on our offensive line. So we're a better team when he's on the field, and he's got position flexibility. He can do some center, he can play some guard, and the more you can do, the better. And with him, certainly we're always going to do what's best for the team, but we're always going to do what's best for him. But what's best for him is probably best for the team, and that's the fact that he can play multiple positions and brings a mentality to our offensive line that I like having out there.
You mentioned some guys being further behind. How do you go about fixing that in a short, limited number of practices? Is it just throwing stuff at them quick? Is it kind of trusting the development of the freshmen last year? How do you go about closing that gap quickly?
It's one, taking advantage, throwing them out there, and to me, there's only way you can learn and get better is to get out there and get reps. So that's what we did today in some situations. Just threw a lot of those guys out there and just let them go. We'll do that on Thursday in practice. We'll do that in the scrimmage on Saturday, get those guys work. But then it's also their responsibility to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing in the time now between practice on Tuesday and practice on Thursday. They got the rest of the afternoon from an academic standpoint, but then when they're free, are they spending that time on football and doing everything in their power to learn what to do? And if you know what to do, you're going to get more opportunities. And then when they come in here tomorrow morning and we have a special teams meeting at 8 a.m., do they learn in that special teams meeting and get better? Then when we break and the offense lifts and the defense meets, and then then we flip it after an hour and a half, are they using that time to get better? So it's not just, to me, the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays that we're practicing. It's the whole bulk of spring practice. There's a lot of learning opportunities, and it's spending the time that they need to spend outside this building on football, but then also making sure they're capitalizing on every opportunity they get out there on the field as well. And then it's our job as coaches, obviously, to figure out what they don't know and why they may be struggling with something, or whether it be a technique or a scheme, and do our job and coach and teach as well.
You mentioned running backs. I think you guys have, like 2 scholarship running backs right now. I guess, do you have a magic number there that you want to hit, or anything like that? And then you mentioned Marquis as well. Just obviously the offensive line of all the positions is one of the harder ones to break into as a freshman. I mean, how's he kind of been able to do that?
Yeah, running back wise, like our ideal number of scholarship running backs is 5, and we're at, if you count the carry on as a running back, we're at 3. We got 1 coming in DJ Braswell. So I don't think we're in crisis mode there. If we can add another running back or find another running back just from a depth standpoint, that would be ideal. But again, that also goes back to the guys that just because you may not be on scholarship here, that doesn't mean that we're just moving on. We recruit walk-ons actively, and we try and bring good walk-ons in here that can contribute to our football team. So there's opportunities for, yes, we have 2 to 3 scholarship running backs right now, but we've got some other guys that came here as walk-ons that are doing some good things this spring as well, and eager for those guys to continue to come along. And we talked about it this morning in our team meeting. Like when we go play North Carolina in game 1 up in Charlotte, I'm not getting on the bus with only 3 running backs. We're going to take 5, maybe more running backs up there. And so who on this team is 4 and 5? And if it's not somebody on this team, then we got to figure that out. But they're getting opportunities to show if they can be those guys, and then being able to contribute on special teams as well. And then Marquis, he's been fantastic. He's comes from an awesome family. First and foremost, he comes from a great program at Dorman. He's a great young man, and he's really, really, really smart. Really smart. We're using him. He's another guy. He's playing some left tackle. He's playing some guard. And to do that as a freshman and hold your own out there is pretty impressive. And really excited about him and his development. The moment's not too big for him. He understands what we're doing schematically, and he has shown some toughness as well in practice. And to me, that's like you said, it's the hardest position to play as a freshman, because Jalen Kilgore went to the prom Saturday night. You should still be in high school getting ready for prom, and instead you're out here blocking Boogie Huntley and guys that are 4 or 5 years older than you and have been in a weight program for 4 or 5 years. And it's hard, but he is not lost by any stretch of the imagination, and shown intelligence and toughness at the position. So excited about him as he continues to develop.
A couple questions. One, kind of going back to running back a little bit with DJ Braswell, for example. What are y'all allowed to do now? Can you kind of refresh me on what y'all are allowed to do with your signees before they get here in terms of meeting with them, talking to them, playbook, and all that stuff?
Yeah, they're like DJ was here last weekend for practice. When they're able to get over here, being able to get around our program as much as they can and kind of learn what's going on. So DJ was here for practice and was able to sit and be around and watch what we're doing. And then in the meantime, we're able to intro the offense and get them up to speed. But I think sometimes that's overrated. I don't know. I shouldn't say overrated. Whatever you talk to a guy about maybe schematically in March when they're in high school and running track, I really don't know how much they're going to retain when they get here in June or the end of May really is when they arrive. For them, the best thing, Hale, is that the NCAA allows us now to have essentially the summer to prep them for practice. We're able to do more from a football standpoint once they're here in regards to meetings and being able to go out on the field with them than we ever have in college football. So they really get the month of June and the month of July to get ahead, for us to be able to meet with them. And it's essentially kind of I don't want to say extra spring practice because we're not practicing, but mentally they're able to really get caught up. But we're able to do, quite a bit right now, but it's also, limited in regards to what we are doing with them.
And the other one was recruiting related. Obviously, y'all cranked back up last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Been pretty fruitful so far, it seems. But can you sum up your thoughts on
that
so far?
Really been pleased. A lot of great prospects that have been here on campus for practices, whether it be on the weekends, which are obviously huge numbers, or Tuesdays and Thursdays, or even during the week when we're not practicing. Prospects that are here from South Carolina and then multiple states as well that have been on campus. So really pleased. Love it when they do come here. All they talk about is the energy at practice and the way that our guys are competing and working on the field, and they've been other places and they talk about how the energy here in this, not just on the field, but in this program is different. And I love to hear that. So excited about, we had a bunch of guys here today, and we'll have guys throughout the week and this weekend as well. And gearing up for a great environment for the spring game here in a few weeks, and that'll be great from a recruiting standpoint as well. But as I've always said, whenever we can get prospects and their families on campus, this campus, this city, this facility, this program, sells itself once they're able to get here. And it's been a lot of positives being able to get those guys back on campus, and we got to capitalize on each and every day.
With the scrimmage coming up, what are some things you'll have your eye on and looking for from the team?
Yeah, one, being able to operate. Obviously, a lot of the things that we're doing offensively are new, just the mechanics of stuff, and we're not going to have coaches out there getting guys lined up every single play. Can we get the communication from the sideline to the quarterback and the play run cleanly, and the personnel groupings in and out? Can we not beat ourselves and have dumb penalties like that from an operation standpoint? Same thing on defense too. We've always used multiple personnel groupings on defense, and we'll continue to. And then, I'm just looking forward to watching our guys compete. There's a lot of new faces, and whether it's true freshmen or transfers, and just watching those guys out there in that setting for the first time, I'm looking forward to. So they've been working hard. The spirit and energy and the competitive spirit and energy and toughness they're practicing with right now has been awesome all 7 days, and I want to see that on Saturday also.
Shane, all you coaches talk about, we have a great culture here, or most of them do. You didn't come in from Oklahoma and instantly it was a great culture, or I'm guessing it probably wasn't that first day. But how long did it take for you to say, okay, we've established this culture and it's a significant real thing here?
It's a good question. It definitely wasn't immediate, and I still think every day it's a work in progress, Gene. I think we're in a great place right now, but by no means have we think that we got it all figured out and that we relax. And because every year is so different with the number of new people that come into your program each and every year. But early on, we were very intentional about it, especially when I first got hired. I wasn't spending a lot of time from a X's and O's standpoint in the offensive and defensive meetings when I first got hired. I was in the weight room and out on the field and around these guys as much as possible. And you certainly saw signs of it when you first got hired, early in the stages of getting hired. Throughout spring practice, there's things, but they're constantly learning and we're constantly teaching what we want. And I just think it's an over time thing that's built with trust, that the players back in 2021, that first spring and season, understood that what we wanted, that we were going to be honest with them. We weren't going to say one thing and do another. And I'll always go back to game 2 of 2021, when we went and played at East Carolina. And at that point, we really hadn't faced a lot of adversity as a program. Luke Doty got hurt in preseason practice, so we had to overcome that. And that was a time where I realized that all eyes are on me in regards to me being the head coach, and the players on this program were looking at me. But I think back to that day in Greenville that, we went down 14-0. First play of the game, we went down 7-0 after we warned them to watch out for the double pass on the first play of the game. But we're down 14-0. But I'll always point back to that day and be really, really proud, because we were down 14-0 and there was no panic. And that was the first time that as a program we had dealt with adversity, and they realized that we as coaches, we didn't change. All of a sudden, it wasn't like we were screaming and yelling and all that. We just continued to be ourselves, and we came back, and we didn't play pretty in the second half, but we came back and won against a good East Carolina team that day. And I was proud of that. That was a sign early on, and then throughout the season, I think we lost the next 2 after that. But after that, we never lost 2 games in a row. We always would come back after a loss, and so I would say that was a sign. And then just the way that our guys worked and got better throughout the season was really kind of evident to me that, okay, we're on the right track. We got good people in this program, and I think there were just little signs throughout the season as well. But again, it's still intentional each and every day, because there's a lot of things that we talked about in 2021 and in building this culture that guys are here now that have never heard me say. And for me, it's balancing the message I gave a lot of these guys in 2021 with being stale because they've heard me say it over and over, but then it's also the first time some people are hearing it as well. So it's a constant experience.
Are you in position to comment about Sean Ryan joining your staff?
I believe so. I think everything's been gone through. We brought on Sean as an offensive assistant, somebody that I've didn't really know him well. Phil knew of him for a long time back when he worked with the Houston Texans. Bill O'Brien was the head coach of the Texans, and Billy was the running backs coach when I was at Georgia Tech as a graduate assistant. And Billy was the head coach, and Craig Fitzgerald, the whole strength coach here at South Carolina, was his strength coach. And I went out to Houston 2 or 3 times just to spend some time with those guys as a coaching staff, and didn't really spend a whole lot of time with Sean. I was with some of the other guys that I knew, but just watched him coach and knew of him. And obviously being up in Charlotte last year with the Panthers, and it was an opportunity. The guy was close, and had some connections to Dow, and it's just another set of eyes, very similar to a role that Freddie Kitchens was in for us last year. Another set of eyes for those guys in that offensive staff room, and somebody that has coached offense for a long time and can continue to make us better. And again, any staff hire that I make, I'm a less is more guy. I don't want to be hiring people just to hire people. I don't want a ton of people in this program that don't have defined roles. And this was an opportunity to get somebody in here that could make us better.
I was going to say, do you guys have any kind of official word on Strawn or Dante Miller? I know that assumption is they're going to be okay, but have you guys gotten anything official there?
Strawn is official. He is good to go. And excited for him, and thankful that the powers that be decided that. And then Dante, we're still waiting on final word.
Shaq Wilson off to the NFL with the Jets. Is there any plans to replace him? Have you already replaced him? And I guess who's dealing with some of his responsibilities while he is off to the NFL?
Yeah. Congratulations to Shaq, and excited for all of our young coaches that get opportunities. Don't want to lose them, but excited that guys that have left this program, they've left not because they were unhappy and trying to get out of here. They've left for promotions in their career, and excited for Shaq. Nobody loves Carolina more. I was in Mexico on spring break, and he called to tell me that he had been offered the job, and he was emotional on the phone telling me that he was taking the job because of how much he loves this place, and I appreciate that. But what a great opportunity for him. Excited for Shaq. He loves Gamecock football and Gamecock athletics through and through. As far as his role right now, he was an analyst, so it's kind of by committee. Fortunately, we're in spring practice, so we're not doing a lot of or any breakdowns for an opponent that we're getting ready to play this Saturday. It's our own team, so there's not quite the workload that you would need from an analyst standpoint right now. So he, kind of assisted as an analyst, the coach right now. He assisted Jimmy and Sterling with that defensive line, but those guys are fine right now as far as what they're doing. So we really haven't had to have anybody quote unquote pick up the slack. And then certainly we'll look. That's something we lost trying to think, who else did we lose on defense? Devontae, yes. Devontae got an opportunity as well. So with Devontae moving on, and then Shaq moving on, there's a couple positions there on defense as well. And then we took Trey Money, who's one of our graduate assistants, who's done a great job, and we're going to make Trey here in time one of the analysts on defense as well. So we've got some flexibility on that defensive staff, and that's something that Clayton and I have talked about what we want to do with that side of the ball next. He and I just really kind of want to get through spring practice, see what our needs are, where we can find somebody, if there is anybody that can best help our defense and our football program here going forward. But we've talked to some people about some positions on the defensive side of the ball, and we'll kind of see where things go.
Shane, your signees and commitments becoming in social media some of your best recruiters. Is that a bigger thing as you recruit better and better players?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's certainly when you've got guys that are committed to you and they're actively out there trying to recruit other people to your program Absolutely, and we've got some really good players committed to us right now, and they're trying to actively recruit some really good players to join them as well. So I think that's huge. And I tell our players all the time, like even when we when we bring in players to our program on recruiting visits, we can show them all this and do all we want as coaches. Our best recruiters are our own players, because as coaches, we can sit here and tell you how great things are and how we treat our players. But if we're full of crap, they're going to be with our players, and our players are going to tell them the truth that these guys are full of it. And so our players are our best recruiters. Same thing with the guys that are committed to us. And I think it's a test, or it's a, just another example of the world's a lot smaller right now with social media. All these kids know each other. A quarterback in Connecticut can develop a really close relationship with an offensive tackle in Dorchester, South Carolina, or whatever it may be. And that wasn't the case 10 years ago or even that long. So they all know each other. They're able to connect. They go to a lot of the same events and things like that. We had a bunch of committed guys that were here last weekend, and it wasn't like I was calling them, telling them, hey, you all need to come this weekend. One of them decided to come last weekend, and then the next thing you know, the whole crew is here, and they're trying to get other people. So love that aspect of it. Love that they're passionate about this place and want to recruit other people to it. And certainly they're really good players that they're recruiting, and we want to recruit really good players here to this place also. Who's going to Dallas? One? Gene? No? Who? Yeah, what? I got my what? Oh, I know. Hokies. Yep, I know. That could be an interesting Sunday if both teams advance, for sure. Go Gamecocks, though. Thanks.
Okay, that's going to do it for Shane Beamer. Very interesting comments today. Pretty much par for the course. But Shane Beamer speaking, updating everybody on spring practice. Of course, he mentioned Carolina will scrimmage this Saturday for the first time this spring. Should be really interesting to just hear what comes out of that. And guys, we're going to go ahead, jump into the first break of the show. On the other side, though, I do want to hear from you, your questions, your comments, your calls, and we'll talk about everything Shane Beamer had to say and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls. 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377 as we enter hour number 2 here on this Tuesday. Guys, I've been getting this question a lot about the weather tonight in Charleston. People asking about rain. Will the game get pushed back? Will it get delayed? I'm not seeing that. I've looked at weather.com. Looks like it's about 20% chance of rain all throughout the night. So I think South Carolina should be good to go. I don't think there's any plans to postpone the game or move the game or anything. The weather looks to be clear. So we'll see if that changes. But from what I'm seeing on my end, I think that we should be good to go. So, yeah, if anything changes, obviously we'll update you. But I think South Carolina and Citadel should have no problem getting the game in. Also, by the way, guys, I do want to mention this. It is game day for South Carolina softball. The Gamecocks taking on Clemson tonight up there at their place in the upstate. The Tigers ranked 5th in the country, so it would be a huge win for South Carolina. Again, Shane Beamer just spoke to the media, and I see you guys comment, and we'll get into them. Of course, the running back room, that is a topic of conversation and one that's going to be a topic of conversation all offseason, all preseason long, if you will. Let's see. Talking about Will Hall says, excuse me, guys. Will Hall says, I find it a little odd. Beamer seems relatively satisfied with the running back room. Probably didn't want to give a negative impression, but it's got to be a cause for concern. Yeah, well, I mean, I think Shane Beamer's a guy that you're not going to see him be overly critical in the spring, especially, with the media. But I thought he made it very clear, saying that he's told the guys, hey, when we travel to, Charlotte for the UNC game 1, we're not just going to take 3 running backs. We're going to take 4 running backs. We're going to take 5 running backs. And so you think off the top of your head, who are going to be the 5 or who are going to at least be the 3 that he feels confident in? I think you look at Juju McDowell, Mario Anderson, right? Dontavius Braswell. Dakereon Joyner is going to go either way, whether he's going as a receiver, quarterback, running back, what have you, he's going. So I don't even know if you include him in the 5 that he's talking about, because I think he's talking about true running back. So again, McDowell, Anderson, and Dontavius Braswell, who are the other 2 guys? And while I respect Shane Beamer showing love to the walk-ons because he himself was a walk-on and certainly walk-ons can make an impact, guys, I think it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and a matter of who they get out of the transfer portal. Like, there's just no way that South Carolina does not go to the transfer portal. And again, so to hear Shane Beamer and, is he, is he pleasantly surprised with the running back room and what have you? I think Beamer's just a positive guy, and I don't think he's going to use a spring press conference to critique his depth in that room or critique the bodies that he currently has, right? I think he's an uplifting, positive coach. So you're not going to hear him come out and say, man, our depth is just terrible. Our guys are no good in this room, and we got to add some bodies because there's just no quality depth here. You're not going to see him or hear him say that, I should say. So I definitely think, again, they're going to go to the transfer portal. They're going to go get a game changer. They're going to go get a guy that is a proven Power 5 guy, because even I see Coleman Hall. Oddly, I don't feel nervous about the running back room. DK is a 5th-year stud who is one of the best dual threat running quarterbacks in his class. He's more than comfortable with the ball in his hands. I hear you, man. I hear you, but I would feel much better. I would feel much better with a proven Power 5 ball carrier back there. I mean, I understand that Dakereon Joyner is a Swiss Army knife, but I'm talking about Coleman, like, who's RB1? Who is RB1? Like, right now, we have no clue. We have literally no clue, and it's like I've mentioned you guys many times. I don't think it matters who RB1 is coming out of spring practice, because I don't think RB1's on the roster. Straight up, I do not think your starting running back for this season is on the roster. Austin, when did I ever say we're going to get a stud? I just want a guy who's been somewhat productive at the Power 5 level. That's it. I just want to be a guy that I'd feel confident as being our number 1 guy. And also, Austin, I'm very impressed by the way that you, Austin Greer, school teacher, knows about who's available in the portal more than everybody else. I had no idea. That's impressive. That's impressive. Anyways, let's see. Are there none out there any better than what we currently have? Like, there's nobody out there that's done anything at the Power 5 level. I'd take the guy from Minnesota. I'd take him. Why not? Unfortunately, we missed on that guy from Utah because of the physical. That sucks. That would have been a really good pickup, but we'll see. I mean, listen, if we have to roll with who we roll with, then we'll just throw the football a lot and we'll do the best we can what we have. But I would like to add one more guy. Ideally, I think they would. And he just mentioned they don't want to just take 3 guys on the road. Like, they got to take more than that. And again, I respect Beamer showing love to the walk-ons, but realistically, like, we need to take 5 SEC bodies, 5 SEC bodies, not just 5 guys, but 5 SEC bodies. So, anyways, we'll see. We'll see. And you never know. I'll say this to Austin Greer's point, though. You don't know what's going to open up in the portal once it opens. Like, you don't know who's going to hit the portal. You don't know who might move around. We have no idea. Right? Everybody's just kind of going through spring ball right now, but who hits the portal? We don't know. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Dalton.
Dalton, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing all right. How's it going for you on this Tuesday?
I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you asking what's going
on. So I wanted to call and sort of steer the conversation a little bit back to, what's going on the field. Obviously, last night, South Carolina women's basketball punches their ticket to the Final Four for the second straight year, which everybody expected.
Mm-hmm.
But sort of my next question is, one of the biggest matchups we'll have this year, and a lot of people have been wanting it, is that Iowa matchup. Do you expect that we'll have any issues with Iowa on Friday night?
I mean,
or
I'm
do
sure
you think we're just going to sort of cruise.
I mean, I'm sure Caitlin Clark's going to get hers, but I mean, I think we'll have a great plan. I mean, this team's calling card is defense, I feel like, for the Gamecocks. I feel like their calling card is the defensive side. They're suffocating. So, I mean, I'm sure they will have a game plan ready to go to limit her as much as possible. I would imagine so, right?
So right now, the line is minus 12.5.
Mm-hmm.
It just dropped today.
Okay.
Are you taking minus 12.5?
I in my score prediction, I in turn had Maryland covering 14.5, and I got burned. So, yeah, I'll take South Carolina. Why not? I mean, it's just it's more of a risk, I think, to bet against the Gamecocks than on them at this point. So, I don't think you're going to get rich betting against Carolina.
And then another question I have is, I mean, obviously, a lot of talk has been made about Will Sanders. You know my opinion about Will Sanders and his current form, if you will. What exactly would you need to see in order to say Will Sanders has regressed to a point where we can't rely on him as our Friday night guy? Because, I watched the game Friday night. There were just so many walks, so many, mislocated fastballs. I understand that when it's right, it's some of the best stuff in the SEC. But the problem is it hasn't been right for like the entire first month of the year. So, I mean, at this point, we've got other guys that we have on the staff that are more productive at the SEC level. And I just feel like, whether it hurts his confidence or whether, whatever happens, at some point you're going to have to make a change unless, he just starts shoving and changes his entire, season stat line completely around.
Yeah. And I think you need to give him that opportunity to do so. And I mentioned, right, that I wouldn't make the change. I would give him this weekend, see what he does on Thursday against Mississippi State, and go from there. If he struggles in that one, even if you win, I think that you really have to take a look at, okay, like, is it time to shuffle things up? And it's a tough decision, right? Because when you're losing, Dalton, it's easy to make those decisions, right? It's easy. It is. When you're losing, it's easy because it's like, okay, we got to make a change. We got to change something up. It's harder when you're winning, though. And so it's like, do you really fix what isn't broken at this point? Because even though he's not pitching well, we are winning. I mean, we're 4-1 in his starts. we're winning. So
Yeah, I mean,
I'd-
obviously, I'm happy with the record. You know,
Yeah.
that's not what I'm complaining about. But my main concern is that, as you know, I mean, the college baseball season, unlike the major league season, is so much shorter.
Yeah.
There's only so many weekends in the regular season, and then you're going into postseason play, right? So if you give him too much time in that spot going into postseason play, and you don't, hone in your rotation, you don't hone in your batting order before regionals come, you're in a problem, because come regionals time, you want everybody to know what their role is,
Mhm.
know what they have to do, and then all you got to do is go out there, practice, and be ready to win games.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I agree with you. And I would say this, though, if Will Sanders goes out there Thursday, 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 10 strikeouts, we're having a different conversation. So I'd like to see him get the opportunity this weekend. We'll see. Do they shake it up now? Because I think what's so intriguing, what's interesting about it, as we're having this conversation, you got Mississippi State this weekend, who's lost 17 straight SEC games. So you feel pretty good about your odds, even if Will Sanders doesn't throw great, right? You feel pretty good about your odds. I mean, we're talking about a Vandy team that scored 26 runs against them in game 1. So the bat should be able to stay hot. You should be able to score and
Yeah, I mean,
overcome.
but make no mistake. Make no mistake that the Bulldogs have a lot of talent. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people have said, a lot of people have said they suck, they're no good, yada, yada, yada. But Mississippi State and Ole Miss are two of the most talented teams in the SEC. Obviously, the SEC is loaded with talent. But in my mind, if you allow yourself to slip up, then they're going to take advantage of it,
Right.
because they're looking for a bounce back right now.
Right.
You
And I
know?
mean, it's a little bit, it makes you a little bit uneasy when it's like, it feels like it's such a no-brainer and you're expected to win. And again, they've lost 17 in a row in SEC play. And it's like, we all want to pick the sweep, and I think a lot of us will pick the sweep. But at some point, like, Mississippi State's going to win an SEC game. Like, it's going to happen. And like you mentioned, you don't go to Mississippi State to play baseball if you suck. Like, they've got talented baseball players. I agree with you 110%. But the point I was making on the whole Sanders thing is, like, even if he doesn't have his best stuff, I don't think he has to be, like, dominant for you to win that first game. So the question will then be this, Dalton. I mean, do you really go into the LSU series changing up the weekend rotation when you're taking on the number 1 team in the country? Like, is that really, do you think, the time to do so? And so I just wonder, will that force their hand in this weekend, going ahead and almost getting out ahead of it, getting out in front of it, and making that change? Because I think this is the weekend to experiment if you were going to do so. You don't want to be experimenting against LSU, man. I just don't think so. And I'm not saying that it'd be a huge experiment or anything like that to bump Noah Hall to game 1 and move Will back. And I think that's probably what would make the most sense if you were going to change things around. But I just think, Dalton, I'll say this. I just think that as long as Carolina is winning, they're not going to mess with anything. I don't see it. Baseball's such a game where, again, you don't mess with a winning streak. Like, when things are going your way, no matter what's happening, you keep it rolling. I don't think you change things for the sake of changing things. I don't think you do that. So I think what they're going to do, if I have to predict, I think what Mark Kingston, Justin Parker, and company, they're going to evaluate this thing. And I would think the way they evaluate it right now is this. We believe Will Sanders, that although he's off to a slow start, there's a reason he's projected as a first rounder. There's a reason he's our number 1 guy. There's a reason he's our ace. We believe he will pitch like an ace sooner rather than later. And we're not going to mess with the mojo that Noah Hall and Jack Mahoney have going in games 2 and 3. I think that's how they're going to proceed forward. I would be shocked. And I don't know that I'd even agree with the move, but I'd be shocked if they made that move going in this weekend. I just don't think you mess with things for the sake of doing so.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm sort of undecided. I'm not really, I am leaning more towards the side that, I just don't, something's off about Will Sanders this year. I'm not sure what it is, because you even saw it during the non-conference play. So I'm undecided at this point. You know, obviously, like you said, we're undefeated in the SEC, which is great. You know, we want to keep that going. But again, you know, we've got a stable full of arms. A lot of them, you know, are MLB prospects, and you know, you can't allow this guy who is obviously immensely talented to weigh you down in that primary spot that you need, because come the postseason, winning that first game is so important. And, you know, if you don't change it up, if you don't get your rotation locked in before that, then it's going to be an issue. So that's all I have. And obviously I'm hoping to sweep Mississippi State or take 2 out of 3. But again, like I said, you know, you're not just going to go into Duty Noble and you know, push Mississippi State around, especially the way they've been playing. You know, they're going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to sort of, you know, get back out there and try and get their season back on track. So you're going to get a much tougher Mississippi State team than what they have been playing like in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. For sure, Dalton. I think you make a lot of great points. And listen, I will say, to your point, I think that there is reason to not be weary, just be looking at this weekend with a bit of a critical eye, because I'm with you, right? Like, I'm expecting South Carolina I'll tell you this, Dalton, I'm actually mentally preparing myself that winning 2 of 3 is a success and it's a good weekend. I think there's going to be a lot of people that go into this weekend that say, if we don't sweep, it's a failure. How did we lose to this team? But like you just kind of mentioned and hinted at, and like I told you, like, at some point, Mississippi State's going to win an SEC game. Like, they're going to. They're not going defeated in SEC play this year. I'm not saying that, like, we should lose. I'm not saying that, but baseball is a funny game, isn't it? And it's like, you feel like when you have it all figured out, that's the time when it surprises you the most. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you see some of the most ridiculous shit happen. So I would just say that winning 2 of 3 is still a great weekend. Obviously, if you can get the sweep, you'd certainly love to take advantage on Saturday. But anyways, I think you make a lot of great points in regards to the weekend.
All right, man. Well, I hope it turns out good, and I hope that we win, and then obviously I hope we win Friday night. But I just wanted to give my input on that, and we'll just see what happens. You know,
yeah.
I don't wish for failure for Will Sanders, but also I understand that, you know, this is Gamecock baseball. You know, that we're not just going to roll some guy who's struggling out there because we don't want to hurt his feelings or, you know, what have you. We're here to win games. We're here to win national titles, you know?
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. I agree with you 110%, man. Absolutely.
All right. Well, you have a good one.
Dalton, you're the man. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for the call. Great stuff from Dalton. And, you know, I think he makes a lot of great points going in the weekend for sure. I think he makes a lot of great points. Will Hall, Chris, what were the results of the Twitter poll from yesterday? Great question, Will. Great question. Yes, the Twitter poll. Let's see. Can I get it pulled up? Yes, here we go. Let's see. The Twitter poll. Final results. Here we go. The question was this: should South Carolina move Will Sanders out of the game 1 spot in the weekend rotation? 61% said no. 39% said yes, and this is of 1,153 votes. So, if you pay attention to the wrong people on social media, you will think that moving Will Sanders out of the game 1 spot or even to the midweek or just he should be cut from the team. I feel like some of these people act like that that's the move, and the majority actually thinks that it's not the move. So 61-39 out of 1,100 votes say no, leave it alone. Austin Greer, was the stuff about Sanders in Tennessee ever confirmed? No, it was not. I think, Austin, like, literally you were the only one that told me that. I mean, your sources have been right a lot, but I never heard anything like concrete or anything that would suggest that it was confirmed. So, let's see. Yeah, Coleman, obviously, I know that you hope that South Carolina destroys Mississippi State. Brewer Nation, Boston, Beal, and Cook might come back. All have another year, their COVID year. Josh then responds, I don't see them coming back. They all walked on senior day, and the tears Boston shed tells me she played her last games at CLA. And yeah, Brewer Nation, I would say this too. I believe that Boston posted something about like my final time at the CLA. So I'd be surprised if she was back. I'd be very surprised. John Rice, what's up, my guy? John. He says we're 20-2. John, we're actually 23-2 and top 10. Don't fix what ain't broke. I hear you. I would agree with you. 12, Chris Smith, thoughts on Boston possibly coming back. Again, I don't think she's back. I'd be kind of surprised. I'd be surprised. Travis says, I'm not saying move him or keep him. I just want the coach to keep an eye on it. We have to keep it on the radar. Yeah, of course they're keeping an eye on it, Travis. There's no doubt. Of course they're keeping it. And they might do it. I don't know. They might do it. By the way, guys, I do want to mention this, and I was thinking about it this morning. I feel like I had a brain fart when I said that the podcast this week, I think, was going to be moved. Because I was thinking about it. I was like, why would the podcast drop tomorrow when it could just drop Thursday? You know what I mean? Why would the podcast drop tomorrow? So we can drop the podcast as normal Thursday morning. You know, we can drop it as normal Thursday morning. And I can throw up my predictions, our series graphic, all that good stuff, and the show will drop. So the podcast schedule will stay normal. I think I got confused because in the past, when we had done Monday, Wednesday, Friday podcast, I always had to move that Friday show up. So I think my brain went to, hey, we're moving a show up, but we're not moving a show up. So yeah, I don't know. We're not moving a show. I had a brain fart. So podcast is normal the next 2 weeks and the next couple of weeks. Monday, Thursday. The podcast will drop as normal. So for those of you that may have been confused, I apologize for confusing anybody out there. I apologize. Babes and Waves says, if Todd Ellis retires, would you be willing to take his place? Because I feel you're the voice of the Gamecocks. I appreciate that, Babes and Waves. You know what's funny? A lot of people don't know this. I actually did play-by-play for USC Aiken baseball. I think it was spring of 2015. I did play-by-play for them. So I've done it before. That would be fun, dude. I would love that, but I doubt USC would be calling me. Guys, we're going to jump into the break. On this side, I want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, your comments, your calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back taking the questions, comments, calls. Excuse me, I was snacking during the break. 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377 here on this Tuesday, March the 28th, 2023. Again, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much for the continued love and support. Let's see. Lynn Turner says, excuse me, guys. Boston will be the number 1 pick in the draft. She's got all the accolades you can get in college women's basketball. She's ready for the WNBA. There is no need to come back. I feel like you tend to be right, Lynn. I feel like you're right on this regard for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's go ahead and jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Robbie Davis, Zaxby's Hall of Famer.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Robbie, what's up, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you asking. What's going on?
First things first, congrats to the Lady Gamecocks for taking care of business once again. I found out last night at the last minute that my brother had tickets for both of the games this weekend, so I was kind of jealous a little bit, but it's okay. He's still my brother and I love him. So anyways, and anyhow, I think this past weekend against Mizzou showed that if you don't put us away, we can come back and beat you. Because Marinar 26 kept telling me, he's like, Robbie, I don't think we're going to come back. I was like, and I responded, a game is never over until it is over. And then lo and behold, we came back and beat Missouri. And then I responded once again, a game is never over until it is over. And that's with any sport, not just baseball. A game's never over till it is over. Period. End of story. And I think in order for Mississippi State to have a chance at beating us this weekend, they're going to have to score double-digit runs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, I think South Carolina's got a massive advantage, and I mean, State's been just struggling immensely. I mean, that's putting it kindly. So, you know, we should have a great opportunity to stay hot swinging it. I mean, it starts tonight against the Citadel, but yeah, I mean, I think for sure going to Starkville, we should have a great opportunity to swing it well and get them to come out victorious yet again. So,
yeah, and also I watched. I of course I'm watching the show now, but I also watched the press conference that you had on, and one of the main keys for any spring practice for anybody, not just South Carolina, is getting out of spring with minimal to no injuries. Mm-hmm. That is key, because if something goes awry and we lose an important piece for the first couple of weeks of the football season, it could come back and bite us in the keister.
Well said, Robbie. Spitting fire as always.
So the number one key is to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And and on the Will Sanders thing, okay. Do I think he's better than what he's been doing? Absolutely. You definitely think the same way, right? Mm-hmm. He's obviously gonna get his money. Okay. He's just not having a great year right now. Do I personally think he's at some point gonna figure out how to flip the switch and be the Will Sanders that we're used to seeing? Yes, because we're only a month, like a month into the season, and we still got a long way to go. So he could still be the guy, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in
He
Will
just
Sanders.
gotta-
I think he can get it going. It's, you know, it's kind of like a hitter getting off
He
to a
just got to
slow.
find his groove.
Yeah, it's like a hitter getting off to a slow start. I mean, at some point, right? There will come a point if he continues to struggle where you say, "Hey, we got to change something up." But I don't know that. I don't know
Right.
that time is right now. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it's too early. It's still a little too early to be making those kinds of decisions.
Mhm.
Now, if we get to the midway point or near the end of the season and this is still going on, then yes, something needs to change.
Right.
But right now, I'd say leave it as is.
I would agree. I would agree with you, my friend.
So, and I think the number one key for the women to beat Iowa on Friday, okay, the number one key, and I mentioned this to Marion on 26 last night while eating dinner. The number one key is make somebody else beat you besides Caitlin Clark, because when I saw her stat line from the other night, I was shocked. So if we can minimize her
Mhm.
and make her have to use others to beat us, I don't think they have anyone else besides Caitlin Clark, in my opinion. So if we can somehow shut her down, and of course I'm pretty sure Don Staley has already decided, okay, Beal, you're guarding Caitlin Clark. Wherever she goes, you go. Because she's our best defender. And all season, she's been guarding our opponent's best player. So, shocker, Beal's going to be guarding Caitlin Clark.
Yep, you stop Caitlin Clark. I think you stop Iowa, my friend. Pretty simple as that.
So, and I also agree with you that our starting running back is not on. I don't think our starting running back is on the roster. Do I think some of those running backs could wind up being a starter in the future? Probably. We still don't know yet. But at this moment right now, I'd say the second that portal opens in May or whenever it opens or whatever, get somebody. Like you said, get somebody that has had good games in SEC caliber football, and that I think Beamer should. I think he's going to do that for sure. And I definitely am I'm hoping that as you put it one time, as I hope the double logins experiment goes great. But like I said before, we ain't gonna know until September. So
yep, not gonna know till we hit the field.
Double logins is made of.
Yeah, not gonna know till we hit the field.
We're gonna But and I've said this too before also. Just because somebody was a crappy coordinator in the NFL does not mean they're going to be a crappy coordinator in college. Same thing with college. Just because you're a bad coordinator in college doesn't mean you're going to be a bad coordinator in the NFL. It's just sometimes you're better at pros and sometimes you're better at college. You just got to figure out which one you're better at.
Right. Well said, Robbie. Hey, I appreciate the call, man. Always a pleasure. You're the man.
No problem.
Yeah, great stuff.
No problem. You have a great rest of your day and a great week. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Appreciate it, Robbie. Always a pleasure.
Same here, buddy.
Yeah, man.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye-bye.
Great stuff from Robbie Davis. I want to jump to this topic real quick, guys. Shane Beamer confirming today that Jordan Strawn has been approved for his 7th year of eligibility after suffering an injury last year, very, very early in the 2022 season. Strawn will be back, and I would expect him to be a big-time impact player for the Gamecocks this year. You know, he's a guy last year that I was really high on. You know, I think Jordan Birch before the season was the dude everybody was talking about, but I told you guys Strawn would not be surprised if he led South Carolina in sacks, and I will stand by that going into this season as well. And I think he'll have a chip on his shoulder, right? Wanting to come back and show people what he's made of after the injury last year. You look, I mean, this is a guy in 2020 that led the FBS in sacks. 10.5 sacks a season ago, or excuse me, in 2020. Had 3 forced fumbles that year. Had 41 total tackles, 14 tackles for loss at Georgia State. So I think this is a dude, you know, he's long, he's lanky, he's got the athleticism. I think he's going to be a fearsome player off the edge for South Carolina, and he needs to, right? Because it's a position of need for the Gamecocks, especially after players like Birch and Edmond hit the portal, departed, if you will. It is absolutely pivotal that Jordan Strawn, yes, has a big year for the Gamecocks this season at that edge position. And it was huge news that we got today that Strawn has indeed received that 7th year of eligibility. I think he'll be a big-time impact player for you. And I think he's one of those key dudes, guys. I'll go as far as this, guys, to say that for this defense to, at minimum, sustain the level of play they were at last year, for the run defense to have any shot at improving, I think Jordan Strawn is a guy that absolutely needs to have a big year for you. I think he's a key piece of this Gamecocks defense heading in the 2023 season. So certainly somebody you're leaning on, and I think the stars should align. I think everything is set up for him to have a really, really big year for the Garnet and Black. Let's see. Let's get back into your questions. Coleman Hall posed this earlier. In case you missed it, would you get a Dowell Loggins tattoo if the Cox won 11-plus games, beat Clem Sucks, and led the SEC in scoring and favorable passing stat? You know, Coleman, I don't know that I'm really in the business anymore of making ass tat bets, if you will, or tattoo bets, but I will say I don't think we're winning 11-plus, so I'd feel pretty confident in saying that I'll make that bet because I don't think we're winning 11-plus games. I don't think everything you mentioned is happening. So, Brian Dean, Dowell Loggins offense will average 368 yards per game, 32.5 points per game. You heard it here first. 368 yards per game. Would that be good enough? I think we could win 8 games with what you've laid out. I think we could win 8 games. I think we could. Let's see. John Rice says, dig up an old play-by-play video. Well, unfortunately, John, those videos are not on YouTube. Brewer Nation says, bro, could you imagine Gamecock Twitter? Oh, man. Old Gamecock Twitter. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Keeps on giving. Let's see. But, yeah, big news. Big news that Jordan Strawn will be eligible this season. I think he's a guy that certainly, like I mentioned, guys, could be a big-time impact player for you. I think most were predicting him to lead South Carolina in sacks last year. You know, Jordan Birch was obviously the guy that we were, you know, that we were looking forward to seeing. You know, is this his breakout season? And you know, unfortunately now he's gone, and it'll fall on Jordan Strawn a lot of it because, again, the edge position certainly is a position of need. Guys, let's jump into one final break. On the side, I'll continue to hear from you more, your questions, comments, calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Final 10 minutes or so in the Daily Crow, taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. As I've said before, guys, a very, very busy next week and a half or so in the upstate. Of course, this weekend we're hosting watch parties for the Final Four and the National Championship Friday and Sunday, obviously, of course, assuming the Gamecocks are in the national title, which we all think they're going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and say Friday and Sunday, watch parties, Final Four, national title at Carolina Ale House on Woodruff Road. Of course, this week on Thursday, so just 2 days from now, we will be at Carolina Ale House, downtown Greenville. And then next Thursday, the tour continues. We'll be at Carolina Ale House, Woodruff Road. So a lot of events over the next week and a half or so for all the upstate Gamecocks. Really, really fun stuff. And looking forward to seeing you guys out there at those different locations. Really excited for it. Let's see. Again, guys, 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. In case you missed it, Shane Beamer speaking to the media today. Shane Beamer speaking to the media. Really, really good stuff today from Coach Beamer. First scrimmage of the spring this weekend, so should be exciting stuff. We might hear some valuable insight in regards to the boys and what's going on. So, anyways, though, really exciting. Also, again, Gamecocks taking on the Citadel tonight. Sam Simpson on the bump. Looking forward to seeing how he spins the baseball. Really, really cool stuff. See him come back from injury and get the start tonight at the Joe down there in Charleston. Really good stuff. Guys, again, of course, at all of our stops, we have merchandise for sale, the Beamer Ball towels, the koozies. We've got the tour shirts. We've got koozies to give away. So when you come out, be sure to check all that out. Also, of course, the Thursday tour event this week and next week will serve as watch parties for baseball. Of course, we'll watch the game against Mississippi State on Thursday night this week, that game on SEC Network. And then next Thursday, Gamecocks take on LSU in an absolutely huge series, a huge series at Founders Park. Going to be a lot of fun. I know Justin Warren was asking about tailgates and such earlier and stuff like that. You know, I don't know if I was kind of vague, but I want to say this, by the way, because, you know, Justin was talking about TSUS collabing with some other entities out there, what have you, to throw a tailgate. I want to make it very clear that, you know, there are no Gamecock creators out there, literally none. Any of the podcasts you see, any of the creators, whether they're full-time, some of the time, part-time, or barely any of the time, there's none out there that I have any sort of disdain or beef with or negativity towards or anything of the sort. I've told you guys many times that I think Gamecock fans are very blessed and fortunate to have so many different options when it comes to different content creators and different conversations that are being had and perspectives that you can seek out, stuff like that. But, you know, inevitably, when you're on this journey and we're rocking with TSUS and we're doing certain things and, you know, when you're bold and you have an opinion, not everybody's going to be a fan of that. Not everybody's going to show love to that. Not everybody's going to show support to that. And there is, you know, just call it for what it is. There's a lot of jealousy in the Gamecock space. There's a lot of jealousy in the content creator space. And so you're not probably going to see TSUS collabing with any of the other entities out there anytime soon for anything like tailgates or shows or anything like that. And again, that's all fine. It's all love. I wish those guys and wish all the other Gamecock creators nothing but the best, because I've told you guys many times before, you know, just because you try to dim someone else's light, it doesn't make your light shine brighter. Like, you don't get the top by chopping people's heads off, right? Like, you just don't do it. So, you know, I was asked about like partnering up with like CB90, stuff like that, whatever. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but CB90 is a guy that has gone on record on social media, has gone in Twitter spaces and has openly talked shit about the Spurs Up show and talked shit about me and questioned my ethics and questioned my business and stuff like that. And, you know, he feels some type of way about TSUS, as do many others out there, and that's totally fine. and it's no big deal. And again, I wish him nothing but the best. His podcast, his show, his life, whatever it might be, the CB90 house, whatever it is. But yeah, anyways, bottom line is this. I just would not hold your breath and would not expect to see any collaborations on tailgates or shows or anything like that anytime soon. We're rocking and rolling what we're doing in regards to content. We're rocking and rolling in regards to, if I want to throw a tailgate, I'll just do it. I'll do it with me. And we'll just leave it at that. So we'll just leave it at that. I mean, that's just calling a spade, not calling anybody out. But yeah, again, I'm just telling you all, I definitely would say support all the Gamecock entities, support all Gamecock content creators. I don't think all of the others would say that necessarily. I'm not sure they would all echo it, but I'm in a place where, it does nothing for me. It does nothing for me for anybody. I'll have people in the Big Cock Club Discord that'll tell me like, hey, sorry for supporting this person. I know they don't like you, or maybe you don't like them. And I'm like, dude, support everybody. Support all the Gamecocks that produce valuable content. You know what I mean? Produce all the Gamecocks support all the Gamecocks that produce valuable content. I'm not, again, there's not a single content creator, Gamecocks content creator out there that I have any sort of disdain or distaste for. I think that's counterproductive in regards to energy. And it's why I simply just don't do it. I mean, you guys tune in the show every single day. You tune in the podcast. Have you ever heard me go on record on this show and openly talk shit about and throw shade on any of these other Gamecock entities out there? And I'm not going to start today, and it's just not something that I do. There's just no point. You know what I mean? Again, that's not why you guys follow this show. And, my commitment is to creating great content and having banter and talking ball. And, I mean, there's just really no place there's no place for that type of banter. There's no place for that type of conversation. And that's why I do not have it. So, it is what it is. So anyways, just thought I'd throw that out there. I mean, again, I'm just saying I wouldn't hold your breath. And, I know CB90, for example, Jeff, good dude. And we've done some work in the past, and I thought it pushed a lot of value to the end consumer. But, listen, when you operate the way that I operate, and you make decisions and you make bold decisions for business and life and merchandise and content and all that, and you stick to it, listen, I respect a guy like CB90. He's a loyal Gamecock fan, gives generously to NIL and, wears the garnet and black glasses. I don't say that disrespectfully, but it's just the truth. Wears the garnet and black glasses. And I am somebody that does not do that. And so that's where that's where it becomes tough for a guy like CB90 to rock with and even respect, what I do. And that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I respect him and what he does. And, I don't even need it to be mutual. You know what I mean? I really don't. So it is what it is. I'm not trying to single out CB90, but you just, Justin mentioned him specifically in the comments, but, any of the other Gamecocks podcasts out there, any of the other entities, I just would not hold your breath on TSUS. We are kind of the pirate ship over here. We are doing our thing. We're solo dolo and we're independent. And that's how I like it. Honestly, that's how I like it. So we'll continue to commit to making fantastic content, great content for the masses. And when I get to Founders Park, I'll get to Founders Park. I don't even know if I'll make an announcement about it, to be honest with you. I don't even know that I'll make any sort of announcement about it because, as I love engaging with and mingling with Gamecock fans. But again, that's really what the Carolina Ale House tour stuff and the watch parties, that's what that serves. If I go to a game, I want to watch the game. And I'll be honest with you, that's been kind of one of my favorite things about doing the watch parties at home is that I'm actually able to watch the game. You know what I mean? And still create content actively and the advantages to creating content and being on my phone and being plugged in, if you will. But I'll get to Founders Park a couple of times. You know what I mean? It'll happen. It'll happen at some point. And, when it does, though, like I said, I probably won't make a huge deal of it. I'll just want to go enjoy a ball game. And I don't know that we'll be throwing any tailgates or anything like that. But we'll see. You never know. You'll never know. We have the power to change our mind over here. So we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, guys, just felt it was important to just kind of give you guys an idea. I mean, again, there's, I didn't want to make it sound like earlier that I have any sort of distaste or disdain or, negative emotions towards anybody out there because I simply don't. But I just do not think that it really aligns in regards to the business side of things for TSUS and the content and just the other creators and, wish them all nothing but the best and wish them massive success. But, I like the way we're doing things right now. I like the way we're rocking. And I think you guys do as well. And with that being said, we're going to continue to rock that way. So with that being said, guys, we've hit 2:00. Appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. And we will talk to you all